I'm going on the record right now. I think Iroh Grand Lotus is the most competitively viable commander in the entire Avatar set. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of very fun ways that he can be built, but there are a lot of very broken ways that he can be built too, notably as a Storm commander. The list that I've put together today is a bracket 4 deck that pushes the power levels to the very cusp of competitive. But I think that with a few small changes and a few staples added, this can be a competitively viable deck. Let me know in the comments right now whether you think that I'm crazy or whether you want to see that CEDH list. Now, there are a few reasons why I think that he's competitively viable, so let's take a look at them right now. Iroh gives everything in your graveyard flashback, and baseline that makes him as good as or better than a Kess Dissident Mage. But giving lesson spells in your graveyard flashback for just a single mana is incredibly broken, like ridiculously broken, and that's because you have plenty of ways to make that 0 mana instead. Anything that reduces spell costs like a Goblin Electromancer or Stormcatch Mentor or Baral Chief of Compliance reduces that 1 mana cost to nothing. Those lessons become free to cast from the graveyard. The same thing works with anything that makes a mana from casting a spell like Electro, Birgi, or Stormkiln Artist. Each spell you cast makes a mana to cast the next spell. This gives you immediate access to counter magic as soon as Iroh resolves, protecting him and everything you do next. Idle Quencha and Sokka's Haiku are both free counter spells that can hang out in your graveyard that you could cast for free once he hits the battlefield with any of these other cards in play. The next part of the equation, though, is how do we get lessons into our graveyard? And here's where I love infinite self-mill combos, specifically around Mesmeric Orb. You pair it with an Apheto Alchemist or a Basalt Monolith, and you can dump your whole library into the bin all at once. Easy. Just tap and untap infinitely until you have every lesson in your deck, along with every other spell in your deck, at your disposal. Being able to mill yourself with a Master Paku works too, but hey, you're in blue, why not just draw a whack of cards instead? Archmage Emeritus is a great way to turn some spell-slinging fun into enough cards that you can pitch lessons into the bin at the end of each turn. Or you could slap a Curiosity onto a spell pinger like Coruscation Mage, Firebrand Archer, or Kessig Flamebreather, and turn each spell into 3 new cards in hand while reducing life totals along the way. Even being able to cast and flashback on Illuminate History helps, but imagine casting and flashing back a Wheel of Fortune or Wheel of Misfortune. That fills the yard very quickly. Once your yard is full of spells, you just pop off. Pad that storm count and go wild for 0 mana. Cast and flash back storm cards like Grapeshot and Brain Freeze to take opponents out. Do it all with an Aetherflux Reservoir in play and just laser beam all of your opponents out of existence. Pew pew pew! Or, what I've seen as one of the simplest and most boring lines, just cast a Thassa's Oracle. Even if Thassa's Oracle gets milled into your yard, you can return it to your hand for free with a True Ancestry. Or you could just reanimate it. Yes, we are in Teamer colors. Believe it or not, blue and green both have reanimation spells that, thanks to Iroh, you can cast from the yard to retrieve a Thoracle straight to play. I want you to guess, though, in the comments what these reanimation spells in green and blue are. I'll give you a second to run down there and tell me your answer in 3, 2, 1. Green can Finale of Devastation back a Thoracle to play as long as you have Iroh and both Finale and Thoracle in the yard. Finale of Devastation lets you search your library and or graveyard for a creature and put it directly onto the battlefield, which makes this win from an empty library easy mode. But the real tech here? Reenact the Crime. This 4 mana instant lets you put a non-land permanent that was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn directly onto the battlefield. And if you've got a turn where you have Iroh in play and just milled your entire library, well, same deal as before. You flash it back with Iroh and return the Thoracle to play. Bob's your uncle. Or I guess Iroh is your uncle in this scenario. But that's the moving parts here. Iroh gives you access to cast everything in your yard, including your win cons. I played this on stream and managed to pull this off a few times, first winning with a cast and flashback brain freeze after recasting almost 20 lessons in my graveyard and passing the turn. And the second time by using a Basalt Monolith and Mesmeric Orb to mill my entire library, paying 0 mana to cast True Ancestry, returning my Thoracle to my hand, and casting the Thoracle with an It'll Quench Ya in the graveyard as backup. But I think the most interesting part of this brew right now is that lessons are only coming in better quality and quantity. The deck features some original Strixhaven lessons like Environmental Sciences, Basic Conjuration, and Teachings of the Archaics, along with Expanded Anatomy, Elemental Summoning, and Intro to Annihilation. But that's from the first wave of lessons we ever saw printed. We now have the Avatar lessons like Shared Roots, Waterbending Lesson, and Seismic Sense, and those are just the sorceries. We've got amazing instant speed lessons like Abandon Attachment, Cycle of Renewal, and Combustion Technique, all serving important functions of draw, ramp, and removal. All the way through to Zuko's Exile, Whirlwind Technique, and Overwhelming Victory that can all legitimately surprise opponents when hard cast or flash back from the graveyard for a single mana. But maybe the best of them all is Accumulate Wisdom, potentially 3 cards for just 2 mana, then flash back for 1 more mana with Iroh? Too sweet. And keep in mind that these aren't cards drawn, but rather put to hand, an important distinction. But I mentioned that this is only going to get better because we're going back to Strixhaven soon. And that is, no doubt, going to bring us brand new lessons that we can fold into a deck like this. Untold potential, since it seems Wizards has learned, pun intended, that lessons don't need to be pointlessly overcosted like many of the first batch we saw in the first set. This deck is, mark my words, going to be even better than it already is. And I am adamant in the fact that this deck could be a competitive level deck. Fast mana only helps it pop off sooner, and the free or recast protection from the yard helps you combo off better, and the access to 3 colors gives you lots of flexibility. If you want to see that CEDH list, let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, let me know what you think about Iroh Grand Lotus. Am I off my rocker with a potential competitive brew? What do you think of this high-powered list, and what would you add to the deck? Let me see your lists. And don't leave without checking out my sponsors like Card Conduit. They are hands down the easiest way to sell your individual Magic cards without the hassle of traditional buy listing. They'll get you top dollar while handling all of the heavy lifting, from sorting to grading to optimizing your price across a huge network of vendors. And they'll give you cold hard cash for it. You can use the promo code MECHANIC right now for 10% off of all fees. And if you want to pick up the cards for this list, make sure to go check out Card Trader. Use my promo code MECHANIC right now for 5% off your order from any TCG. Card Trader's zero system means you can get cards from all over the world with only 1 shipping fee. Save money and time today. Lastly, you can check out all of my decks on MOXFIELD. MOXFIELD is the best deck building platform in the world and makes it easy to build decks and search for specific cards with their powerful tools. Have you checked out their drag and drop feature yet? It's revolutionary. Be sure to check out my brews and follow my profile there right now. If you were inspired to brew today, you have to hit that subscribe button. Check out this other deck on my channel right now for more sweet tech. And as always folks, good luck and have fun.